So our Impact Center Illinois Board of Directors, our Grant and Finance Review Committees, our Events, Membership, and Marketing Committees have all been busy since we were all together last fall. Busy and hard at work. I'm especially excited for you to hear later tonight from Kristen Zika and Judy Huff about what they've been up to. I would be remiss though if I didn't take just 30 seconds here and thank Shelley Weaver, who's trying to slide in there. So do y'all know that we have 235 members in 2022? So I know that a lot of you are part of why we have that many, but the bulk of that responsibility is Shelley. And so I just want to appreciate her, and I know that y'all appreciate her, and what she has done is nothing short of impressive. So thank you, Shelley. What she has done. And this is our third year, which is, yeah, pretty cool. So I also want to take a minute to thank and to acknowledge Wendy Ramsey. Wendy was our founding finance chair. She helped us get off the ground for sure. I think Shelley and I and any founding board member would tell you that we couldn't have done it without Wendy. I'd say that she worked with us with competence and confidence and just the right dose of humor. As she held our hand through P&Ls, 501c3s, tax forms, our first voting process. In my mind, I can just kind of picture her, shaking her head as, we asked her questions that only she could answer for us. So we really appreciate Wendy. She couldn't be with us tonight, but I wanted to still say publicly that just what a wonderful job she did of getting us off the ground. But I'm also thrilled to introduce, and I want her to stand again, Vivian Stanford. And so Vivian is our current finance chair as of January 1, and she comes to us not only with a strong finance background, but with impact collective giving background from Indiana. And she told me the name of the organization, but I didn't get it written down. But she's from Indianapolis and was part of a similar group there. So we also get to learn from her experiences in Indianapolis. So that's pretty cool. And I think that's all. So from that Wendy, now I'm going to turn it over to another Wendy who's got a couple words for you. This is Wendy Kolbus.
Just real briefly before we get to the main reason that we're all here, a couple things I just wanted to make sure that you had. Number one, bring out your phones. Make sure June 7th is already on your calendars. It's the big night. It's what we're all working towards. It's what all the area people that are hoping to win the grants are working towards. So you want to be there. So put that on your calendars, please. And then the second thing, and it's going to be at Lofty Spaces, which is a really cool new venue here in town. It's in the Warehouse District on Southwest Washington. So please make sure that you come. You can also, I think Lori said you can bring a friend if they kind of want to know a little bit more about Impact and just see what it's all about, see how cool it is. It's an emotional evening and really one not to miss. If you miss anything, don't miss that. Speaking of bringing a friend, the one thing that I really wanted to touch on is this card that everybody got. If you can all pull that out, one of the ways that we can increase that membership beyond the 235, did you say, that we have this year, is to reach out to friends, neighbors, family, colleagues, whoever you can think of that would want to be a part of such a great thing in our community. So, very simple. You can do a little home party, you can host it, co-host it. It's easy, it's simple. Shelley and Lori and Kristen do all the work. They come, they present, they tell the story of how it started, why it's been such a great thing in the community, and what it's doing. So I had one this last year. It went very, very well. They were phenomenal, and I think almost everybody wanted to be involved. There aren't many people that really hear the story that don't want to be involved. So we ask you to do some work, help Shelley out, be the feet on the ground to recruit more members. So fill that out, We are doing those recruitment parties July through October. So if you can fill that out, put them in the fishbowl when you leave tonight. Even if you don't know for sure, if you're interested, please let us know. All right?
Well, we are thrilled that Michelle Sullivan is going to Zoom with us, and I thank her for her patience. We had a little technical difficulty at the beginning, but thank you, we got it all figured out. Michelle has many titles: inspirational speaker, author, and social impact advisor. You might recall that she was the president of the Caterpillar Foundation from 2011 to 2018, and also director of corporate social innovation. She's a globally recognized leader and advisor in social impact, TED speaker, and author of the book, Looking Up: How a Different Perspective Turns Obstacles into Advantages. And everyone look it up and read it, it's great. Michelle strongly believes monumental and sustainable change in our largest global challenges can only happen through partnerships and collaboration between public, private, and nonprofits. She was honored to give a TED Talk at TED Women 2016 and the first Caterpillar employee to do so. In her talk, she speaks candidly about the challenges she has overcome in life, highlighting the importance of acceptance and helping others succeed in the face of their unique challenges. She was named by Inside Philanthropy as one of the 50 most powerful women in philanthropy, and also served as a U.S. delegate to the United Nations Commission on the Status of Women. She earned her undergraduate business degree and her MBA from Bradley. So welcome, Michelle. Thank you.
Sorry I can't be there in person. I hate to tell you, but I'm in Florida. And just so you know, they're worried about the Arctic blast we're going to have this weekend, with it being about 59 degrees, which I find kind of humorous, but I understand when you're used to 80, 59 to them is quite cool. So, but I do think of all of you, and I wish I could be there in person. And first of all, I want to tell you that I was not aware of this organization before Kathy talked to me at the end of last year. And so I'm very impressed. I love this kind of work. I love when people come together, and you're making tremendous progress. I've learned about some of the grants that you've made, and my hats off to you. I love the power of women as well. And so I thought I'd spend the next few minutes just talking about my experience and what we would look at in terms of social impact when I led the foundation and since I've left there. And I know at least one of my team members, Eric, is on the line as well. And so, you know, when you think about how do you know how to invest in an area or region, there were several ways that we looked at. One of the ways was we looked at the United Way report, which is completed, I believe, it's a study of the region every 3 years. It was done by Larry Weinzimmer. I assume he's still doing it. But that report was so detailed, and it talked about all the different areas around both rural and in the city of Peoria and all the counties around. And it even went by school, etc. And it was quite revealing in terms of the detail of the data down to even the age bracket in some cases. And it really was a great guide to us in terms of what areas needed more assistance than others. And when you think about it, people don't realize that in the rural areas, which is a large part of our 5-county area, is living in poverty or near poverty. And I didn't really realize it till I started really with the foundation and got into the details of it. And it's, I think part of the reason why we're not aware of it is they don't have some of the usual systemic problems that we think of in some of the impoverished areas. And yet they really do have some of the same challenges in terms of food insecurity and needing help at school and with employment, etc., and healthcare as well. So the United Way report was very vital to us. Another piece that I really love when it comes to social impact investing is partnerships and collaboration. I absolutely believe that when we collaborate and hook up with different partners, that the impact is exponentially greater than had we acted alone. And there were several examples of this. There's one going on now with the Heart of Illinois Howie, the portable van that goes around and gives people different daily access to things that they need, and now they're partnering with the Peoria County Animal Control. So a lot of the folks that are on the streets and need assistance, a lot of them do have a pet. And so they're combining those two so that they're not only taking care of the person, but they're also helping them take care of their pet. And when you think about it, that's sometimes the only thing that they have to, that they feel, that they can live on, and that loves them back. So it may sound odd, but you really have to put yourself in the situation of a lot of these folks. And that leads me to the next point is, it was really important to me that my team and I got out there and actually visited the people that we were trying to work with. And it's one thing to read about an organization's mission or to meet with the folks working there, but I found it very impactful when I actually went and talked to the folks myself. And I went from everywhere, from all parts of the 5-county area, all the way to the deepest parts of Africa, where I'll be honest, there were times I thought to myself, what have I gotten myself into? The Find My iPhone part of your phone doesn't even work in the areas that I went to. And so while it can be unnerving at times, it certainly was beneficial to me. And it was great to go and have lunch and sit down with a lot of the children in the area that we were helping with, and understanding what their daily lives are and what I never grew up with. So I can't really understand what they're going through, but I understand that they have the same ambitions that we all have. And they don't really understand necessarily the type of situation they're in. And so it was really good to hear their perspective and, just talk to them as children or adults as well. And, what is it that they need the most help with? And it's interesting because a lot of it, has to do with just basic human needs, which, we really try to help with. And an example of once we started talking to folks over in the Richland neighborhood across the river in East Peoria, a lot of them had roofs on their homes that had a lot of water leaks, etc., and the windows weren't real good. And what the cause was, they would have very high Ameren bills because they had a lot of not enough insulation and the windows weren't good, etc. And then they had a lot of health problems because their roofs would leak, and then they would get mold, and they'd be treated for symptoms, but they could never get to the root cause, and come to find out it would be from water leaks. And so we worked with the Southside Office of Concern, Chris Call, and we really partnered with her so that she could go in. We gave the grant, and she went in and really helped get people in there that could help with the neighbors and get their homes in a better place. So the power of partnership and collaboration is very vital. And also I like to think about where can we leverage our money of the foundation. And what I mean by that is we worked with LISC, the Local Initiative Support Corporation, and we would do grants where they could then go get other grants and leverage our money, say $4 to 1. And that really was an exponential investment as well. And when you think about, if you want to go far, you go together. If you want to go fast, you go alone. And so my team always knew I would say that. If you want to go fast, then, you go alone. But if you really want to go far, you go together. And I think the power of your group has really impressed me for a number of reasons. One, I never doubt that women can do anything they want once we set our target and go after it, and I commend you for that. And two, that you're pooling your money and your thoughts from your experiences and really go out and volunteer and really get down into the nitty-gritty of the folks that you're helping, because at the end of the day, if we can really walk, not necessarily in their shoes, because I didn't grow up like some of these children, but if I can walk alongside them, and that's what my TED Talk was about, if we can walk beside each other, which you're doing with your group, you're really helping them. Because if you think about it, of all the people that have helped us in our life, we certainly didn't get to the point where we are at by ourselves. We've always had people help us. And so for me, social impact work is all about that. I'm very fortunate as a little person, not only to be born to the family that I was born into, but to be born in the country where I was given the education and the health care that I needed to succeed. Because had I been born in a lot of other countries, that would not have been the case. And so I really work so that, I can give and help other people get what they need to be successful, whatever situation they're in. Because people don't understand that a lot of people are only one paycheck away from being homeless. And so Peoria has done a really good job with the homeless, for example, and the Dream Center stepping up. And when you think about your grants, think about who else can we partner with that can take our grant and run with it once the people are helped with our money, or our money comes after someone else's grant, so that there's a spectrum of groups helping these folks along the way. And my team with the foundation really tried to focus on that, because just because they're helped in one area, then how do they get to the next step? Because to be successful, if you think about all the things that have to align, it takes a lot of people. And a lot of these folks don't have the support, for instance, that I had and I continue to have. And so I really work hard to try to give them that spectrum of people. And also, I always try to tell them, and my team knows this, my favorite African proverb, if you have a very dark night and the night is very long, the day will always come. The dawn will always break, no matter how dark the night. So you always have to look up. And that's what I wrote about the book, a lot of the people that we helped. Because, here they are, they don't have much, but they're incredibly happy. And they have the same ambitions of us, no matter where I travel to. We all want the same thing. We want to have self-esteem. We want to be able to provide for ourselves and our family. And at the end of the day, that's what you all are helping with. And I really applaud you. And Erica gave me the information tonight, Erica Kemp, because I want to join the group as well, because I want to get on the train. You guys are making a huge difference. And I'll take any questions after that anybody has.
Michelle, what are you most hopeful about for Peoria?
What am I most hopeful for about what?
About Peoria.
About Peoria? Well, I'll be honest, I am incredibly excited about your group and how you're pooling your money and going through a great process of how do you pick the grants and who do you invest the money with. I never say who do you give the money to, because you're really investing in people's future. And so that's exciting. And, I think Peoria definitely has some challenges, as most cities in the country do. And I'm hopeful that we can find a way to come together instead of continue to have the division that we have. We all don't have to agree on everything, but I certainly wish that we would be more respectful of people's thoughts. I mean, I have friends that I don't, we have very different, I don't want to say political views, but social views, because I believe in a hand up instead of a handout. I definitely believe in teaching a person to fish. So I think if we continue to do good work and focus on that, that's what I tend to do. I don't focus on the negativity or our differences. And I think if we continue to talk about that and also compromise, it seems that especially the politicians and the public, I'm not going to put it all on the politician, we've lost the art of compromise. And I'm definitely a compromiser and a collaborator. So this causes me a lot of angst. But you know, I don't give up. I keep doing what I can do and talk to people. And what I find is if you can show people what your point is, and this goes back to going deep into the people who you're trying to help. And I mean, go there and visit and watch how they have to live, watch what they need, talk to them, and more importantly, listen to them. And also, we, at the end of my time at the foundation, we invested in advocacy, where, you know, there's investing at the grassroots, which is a lot of the organizations, you know, that are working for the people on the ground. And then there's grass tops, which is the policymakers make policies. And if we can advocate for those who are in need and get the people who make the policies to listen, and we advocate on their behalf, I do think there's great strength in that. There were many a times, Mayor Ardis and Patrick Urick would tell you, sometimes behind closed doors, and where, you know, we would want more inspections done of some of the housing, for example. And we would provide them with what our grant was doing, and what we were seeing were the issues, and it wasn't getting picked up that the landlords had to fix some of these issues, for example. And so don't be afraid to wade in and get help at the grass top level to make a difference. Or if your group sees a need and you need help fixing it, and money won't necessarily fix it, but a change in a rule or a policy or a regulation could greatly help. I find great impact from that, and that's how I got involved with the United Nations on the Commission on the Status of Women, actually, where we were working with other countries on the status of their women and, you know, what we could help with. And so that really can make a difference also. And when you combine that with another type of grant that would support whatever change you were trying to make, that's where I really found there was exponential change. So for Peoria, I think if we keep pulling together and, you know, try to stay above, you know, some of the fray that's happening, which is really sad. A lot of it, as you know, is in the areas where there's a lot of need. I want to continue to work to give those people hope, because, you know, at the end of the day, you know, everybody should have hope, shouldn't they? And we don't want them to keep going to the streets.
Any other questions? Oh, yes.
Michelle, you worked with different groups all around the world over a number of years. What's one project that's touched you the most or made you the most proud?
You know, I have several. I'll give you an example of one that took a while, but it made monumental change. It was in Rwanda. You know, when I would go to Africa, I would see, and this doesn't necessarily apply to Peoria, but I want you to think about what our folks are up against, but at a different level. You know, I saw the girls walking all day with these 40-gallon jugs of water, and they weren't going to school. And so when you really found out the root cause, it was because the families didn't have access to water. That was the real reason. But the boys went to school. And so in Rwanda, though, the people live on top of the hills, and the water was at the very bottom, maybe 1,500 to 2,000 meters below. And the girls would walk down every day and then carry those jugs up. And I would pass them in the car. And it shook me to my core the first time I saw it. And so we worked with an organization called Charity Water, where we could build the pipeline up, but of course, water doesn't flow up by itself. And we needed pumps that would bring the water all the way to the top. But the problem was they didn't have electricity. So it wasn't gonna work. And so Charity Water and us and others worked with the government in this one particular district to test it. And they brought in electricity, and then with other organizations, the pipeline was built all the way up these large hills, very large. And then the water went into these large tanks, and within a certain short distance, all the family could have access to clean water for the first time. And the benefit of all of this, when I went back to see it, is 98% of the girls were going to school now. And when I talked to some of the families, and most of them were women, because, you know, just like here, I don't know if there's any men there, just like here, you know, women run the families, right? So when I would talk to the women, and this one woman in particular, I say, you know, how has your life changed, and what else do you need? And she goes, you know, because we have water and my children are in school, I've opened up a little, what she called a restaurant, which was a cover, and it had some benches. And because she had electricity, she had a little refrigerator. And so she didn't call it a bar, but it was, in a sense, a bar where people could come in and have juices. And she goes, because of that, I have money now to send my children to secondary school. And she goes, that would have never happened. And so they're on their way. And so a few hours later, we left that district. And by the way, the whole district has water now, access to water, because of this huge collaboration. And then I met with another district, a group of people, and you know, they were like, oh, we heard that, you know, Orlando had water, and we're just waiting for our turn because it's just changed our lives so much. You know, we want to move over there. And so it was interesting, and I knew that they were going to have water in December, which was about 5 months. And it just really struck me that it all came down to the change was because they didn't have water. You know, it was the girls who were walking and not being educated. And when they're not educated, you know, they can have health problems, they get married at an extremely young age, etc. And they never really get out of poverty. And when you relate that back to Peoria and the people who are really struggling, and, you know, can the children get to school because of maybe some events that happened the night before where they had disruption in the family, you know, they didn't make it to school, and how many days do they miss? And when they come home with homework, is there anybody there to help them with their homework or to make sure they have homework? And, you know, that's where things like the Boys and Girls Club come into play, because it provides them a safe haven. And that somebody, you know, I've been there many times, and I always try to be there when school's out, because the kids would come in, and they come running in, and they just want to hug all the workers. And Leslie Matuzak, when she was there, and we were there, and they'd hug us, and they didn't even know us. They were just thrilled to be there. And then they want to go get their snack, because, you know, in some cases, that's the only meal they're going to have that evening. And so, you know, while Rwanda was on the extreme side, I would argue that we have severe challenges in Peoria that people don't realize. But because of folks like you and the other organizations and companies in our area, you know, I still believe that we're making a difference. And I think our purpose in life, and my team will tell you this, or anybody that knows me, is we're supposed to leave this world better than when we came. And so I think Peoria, you know, when you look at all the investment that people are giving into making people's lives better, you know, those are good stories to have. And there's a lot of good stories in Peoria happening. And I saw some of the grants, and my hat's off. You definitely are picking organizations that have a huge impact, and I'm so thrilled for you.
Thank you for joining us this evening. I know you're an hour later than us, so we truly, truly appreciate you working through our difficulties and joining us. Thank you.
Oh yeah, thank you, and I'm proud of you all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.